Who's not here? I forgot to turn the recording on. Okay, now I'm okay. So we did verse 26 last time, and that's where Bhagwan is giving some tips on the bhakti part of it, devotion part of it. And he said in verse 26, whoever offers me with devotion a leaf, a flower, a fruit, water, that I accept, offered by the pure-minded with devotion. So here we saw Swamiji's commentary and all that. The most important thing was pure-minded and devotion. And the material things are not that important, but how your mind and how you offer is a lot more important. That was the whole idea. And you can, whatever is available to you, you can offer it, even though anything and everything that we have belongs to Bhagwan. But, through those little things, big things, whatever you have, we are offering our love and devotion. So that was a conclusion from the last. So now, this next verse is like the ultimate bhakti. The reach, the pinnacles of bhakti. How do we do that? So he's taking us slowly to the pinnacle. But the same verse he has already talked about the similar thing before, and I'll tell you which verses those are. So let's look at this verse first. Verse 27. Yat karoshi yadashnasi yajjuhoshi dadasi yat tapasyasi kaunteya tat kurushva madarpanam. Yat is whatever. Karoshi, karna, jaise, you do, whatever you do. Yat, whatever, again. Ashnasi, whatever you eat. And we don't have to take literally eat with just food. It is okay to take that, but with all our five senses. Yat, whatever, juhoshi. Juhoshi is like जो भी हम लोग तप करते हैं, not तप, sorry. Yagna, puja, rituals, usko ye sab bola hoya. Sacrifice means, basically in those days they used to do yagna and homas, but for us it's pujas and all also. Dadasi. Dadasi is whatever you give in charity. Yat is whatever, and again yat, whatever. Tapasyasi. You practice in austerity. Any kind of tapas that you do, vrat or tapas can be so many different ways, to connect to the higher yoga, whatever you call it. Kaunteya is, of course, Arjuna, Kunti Putra, is addressing him. That. So whatever you do with all these things, that Kurushva, whatever you do, Madarpanam, as an offering to me. Sorry, this Kurushva is you offer it to me. So this Kurushva Madarpanam comes together. Offering to me. So here what Bhagwan has done, that he's taken our whole life and divided into these things. And if you see, anything and everything you do falls in one of these categories. That's it, So it's whatever you, pehle to bol diya, whatever you do, to usme sab kuch aa gaya. And then he kind of explained whatever you eat, or whatever you do, puja, archana and all, whatever you give in charity, and whatever tapas you do. So that's all the activities we do all day anyway. Everything you offer to me. So it kind of sounds simple, but to go in a little depth of it, what does he mean? So when we say yat karoshi, any action that you do, any action that you perform. And if you think about it, all these different categories, they are also kind of action only, right? I think somebody's here. I have to mute. Okay. So what the way Nikhilanandji was explaining, different swamis, take a different, slightly different angle to explain, but the meaning is exactly the same. So the angle that he took was, Nikhilanandji that took was that all the duties that we have every day, each person has to define our own duty, what we need to do every day. Whatever is in front of you, that you offer it to me. And the word is mad arpanam, means dedicate it, offer it to me, means Bhagwan. And just realize that you are doing it for me only, and from scientific point of view also, ultimate bhokta is Bhagwan only, and from the devotional side also, whichever angle you want to take. So he was just saying that you get up in the morning, even taking bath and going to work, dedicate to Bhagwan. It may be kind of difficult in the beginning, but once we get the concept, then we will understand what he means by it. And he's saying that even if when you're serving your boss, you have to think that I'm doing it for Bhagwan. That doesn't mean that, you don't do the vyahavar. That's not what he's saying. Then whatever needs to be done, and if you have to explain something or have argument and all that, that's not like, you boss ko Bhagwan samajh liya, matlab sab jo bolta hai wahi karte jao. Not from that angle, huh? But from the angle that whatever action that we are doing every day, even work and at home and other things, everything you dedicate it to God. And then he's saying that we have to have that understanding in our heart that that I am in service of God. And I tell you, when we go to this Hare Krishna temple, that is their biggest line that they say, that we serve God. For them, it's like if serving the people or giving even the food or doing the arti or distributing the book, they say service to God. That I'm serving Krishna. For them, God is Krishna over there. So that's what it is. So then, Nikhilanandji comes up with some good examples, and see, we will connect to this because we have heard this story hundreds of times in India about Ramayana. And, in the story of Ramayana, Hanumanji was a classical example of service to God. Because he said that even when he went to Lanka and Ravan said, okay, introduce yourself. So he always says, I'm Ramadut. I have no other introduction. He didn't say, I went to this school, I got this degree, I got, nothing. His simple thing was, I am Ramchandraji's servant, and in that capacity I have come here. I belong to him. And that's what it is, his identity. So that's what gives us some idea what he meant. And then he also gave the example of Angad. That whoever knows the story, that Angad को भी भेजा था उन्होंने कि जरा उसको दिखा के आ कि भाई हम लोग भी कुछ है, So when Angad goes over there, तो रावण अपनी डिप्लोमेसी ट्राई करने की कोशिश करता है कि उसको बोलता है कि अरे तेरे फादर का तो मैं फ्रेंड होता था, ये है वो है, so why don't you be on my side, because you are like mine, and things like that. And Angad said, nothing doing. You can say whatever you want. I am in service of my Lord. And that's how my capacity. You can't shake me, So that's what I thought. These two were very good examples. We can relate to it. So he's saying that the devotee is the one whose every action is dedicated to Bhagwan. So he lives and moves and, breathes for God. Not for some society, person, organization, country. You do all that. But what Nikhilanandji was saying, that we have to have a right understanding and a right concept about God, that how broad and holistic everything is included in it. So, you can say that I am serving a country, but inside, I am serving my God through the country. See what I'm saying? So you have to have that bigger picture in your mind. If you don't have that, you will have a fanatic understanding according to him, which is so true, because that's why people start dividing. Oh, my God is better than yours. How can you say that if God is all-encompassing? See that? So the moment you don't have a proper understanding, fanaticism will come. Because what he was saying, that your country is also included in the understanding of God. And, country is small, God is big. Like the children in Chinmaya Mission, they teach them, when they're in earlier grade, my trouble is big, but my God is bigger. So my God can take care of everything. So they feel, like I can solve anything. So that's what it is. God is bigger. So family is small, God is much bigger. So when I love God, that means I love my family also, but much more than that. right? So it's not that we are not ignoring what we need to do as a duty, but you have to expand your whole horizon. And he's saying that, Nikhilananji was saying that God is much bigger than any concept or any object, because it goes even beyond cosmos, you can imagine. So that's how it is. And he was just saying that it's bigger than earth also. And he's saying that if I say I love earth and all that, a person who has a right concept of God, he will love the entire solar system, entire Milky Way, entire cosmos, And he's saying even if some alien comes from some other planet, he will love them also. And that reminds me of something, I'm interested in these kind of subjects. And I say in those movies, when they make, anytime they show alien, they will show कि वो झगड़ा करने के लिए आए हमारे साथ. The movies, they are such bad guys, we have to fight them and all. So why do they think that somebody will travel that far away to fight with us? Why they even think? Can't they will be coming in peace, because they will be saying, hey, मेरे जैसा भी कोई है वहाँ पर. I could never understand this kind of animosity that they try to show between. So that's, I guess, something he was saying, that even you could be another planet and whoever, you still love them because it's part of God. So then, now look at what Bhagavan is saying. So we understood this, what he's trying to say overall. Now we can go to each word. So, Yad Karoshi, whatever you do, dedicate it to God. Yad Ashnasi, whatever you eat, you offer it to God. So, he was just saying that if you offer it to God, you will automatically eat healthy food. Because it's like a prasad only, right? Whatever you will eat, if you are offering it to God, you're not going to offer some junk food or some nasty food or anything like that, So automatically you'll do good things if you're offering it to God. And then I was saying that Ashnasi, we have to take it from all five. So then you will be hearing good things, you'll be doing good things and all that. You will manage your senses sensible way if you offer it to God. So the next thing is, and another point he was trying to make is that we should know that whatever we are eating, God is residing in our heart, at the cave of our heart. So there is one whole thing going to come in chapter 15 where he talks about that, I am this food and I am the Jatra Agni. Jatra Agni is the heat that we need to digest the food, is also God. Because God is heat also. So when we read all that, all these verses are connected to each other. And so then obviously from that angle also, I'm offering it to God only when I'm eating it. Because God resides in me, and also the heat and all is inside is God only. And then, I was talking about the other two verses that are there, which are very, very similar. One is itself in this chapter, and that is verse 16. And, some of you may have forgotten, or you were not here when we did that. And that translation was, this is Aham Karturaham Yagna. I am the Kritu, means I am all the rituals. I am the sacrifice, means I am the Yagna. I am the offering, to the ancestor. Sometimes we do that kind of shraddha and all that. I am the medicinal herb, meaning all the ahutis that we give in plants. I am the mantra. Mantra is also Bhagavan only. I am also the clarified butter, he said. I am the fire. I am the oblation. Ahuti bhi main hu, fire bhi main hu, butter bhi main hu. So it's, if God is everything, whatever we do, it is for God. And then the other famous verse was from chapter 4, Brahma Arpanam Brahma Havihi. That's most of you might know, you have heard of that verse, you say it before eating, but उसमें भी concept वही है कि पूरे हर एक यज्ञ में everything is God only. पंडित भी वही है, मंत्र भी वही है, आहुति भी वही है, fire भी वही है, उन्हीं को दिया जा रहा है सब कुछ ऐसा, हाँ. But yagya over there was a bigger concept. And that is what fits in with this verse. Everything you do is yagya only in some ways. You are giving some ahuti to the higher self. And that's how we have to see. So these are very connected verses. That's another thing. And then, so going further, we were at Yad Ashnasi. And then it says that Juhoshi. So Juhoshi is yagya, havan, puja, everything that we do, we offer it to him. And dadasi, whatever dan or charity we do it for him, to give it as though we are giving it to him only. And that's why a lot of people, when they're giving dan and all that, they have this feeling inside, the real devotees, oh, thank you for the opportunity to help somebody. Actually, it is your stuff only. I'm just sharing it. You have given me the opportunity to share, and I feel so good. So that's what it is, that humility in giving. And he was just saying, Nikhilanandji was saying, whether you give it to a person or an institute, or you are ultimately giving to Bhagwan only. Okay, so we have to, that's the attitude we have to do. And then tapasyasi, whatever tapas, sharirik and mansik both. Because, sharirik tapas, so India mein log kitna pata nahi kya karte hain, ulta latak jate hain and all that. We're not going to worry about all that. But all the other vrat and all people do. And, mental is, trying to control our senses also is a tapas only. Every kind of thing that we do. So he's saying that usko mad arpanam he kaunteya, completely to Bhagwan. And that's called the real bhakti. So if somebody says what bhakti is not sitting in the mandir and singing bhajan, that's good and nice. But unless you have this attitude, it's not real bhakti, And then some of you may have heard of Narad Bhakti Sutra, right? That is the ultimate book on bhakti. So Nikhilanand ji said, उसमें भी नारद जी का यही conclusion था कि how to recognize that you have a bhakti. He says, if you dedicate all your actions to God, that's real bhakti, So that also over there. And the other thing he said that, remembrance of God also. So if think about it, they're all tied up together. When you are dedicating every action to God, that means you're thinking about God all the time. Somewhere in you, you are connected to it. So he's saying that even if you forget it for 1 minute, the bhakt will feel very uncomfortable. And all our trouble starts when we forget, actually. So that's what he was saying. So dedicating our whole life to God is bhakti. But again, Nikhilanandji stressed one more time that the understanding of the God has to be very, very clear. And that's when this whole journey we are taking in Bhagavad Gita from chapter 7 onwards, until 12 is to understand who God is. Because the moment if you don't understand God, concept of God properly, you will have a fanatic attitude, and then you will think that some kind of fanaticism is bhakti. Like some of those terrorists have this crazy idea that they are doing it for God, and then they go do such kind of atrocity. So it becomes it's an ignorance kind of thing. So proper understanding in whatever you do also is a very important part of bhakti. And then lastly, he said, and everybody knows this verse or this chopai from Ramcharitmanas, Siya Rama Maya Sab Jag Jani Karahu Pranam Jori Jug Pani. So because he's looking, he's calling the Bhagwan as Siya Ramchandraji, which is fine. He's saying that whole world for me is Siya Ram only. And with that attitude, I am folding both my hands and bowing down to the entire world. So that's also ultimate of bhakti. It's the same exact concept. So whether you go to Ramayana, or whether you go to Gita, or whether you go to Narad Bhakti Sutra, the conclusion is the same of the highest bhakti, what it should be. Any question, comment? Anybody want to add anything on this verse? No comment? So I'm assuming you can say at least a comment. Okay, I understand.
No comments because I really don't understand.
Okay.
So, are you saying that the bhakti and the God is something, a guidance which resides within us? Is that how I look at it, or are we looking at and a deity or a physical presence whom I'm offering it to. That's where I'm getting confused.
Okay. I'm glad you asked that question because that's very important. That's exactly why I want people to speak up because otherwise it won't mean anything, right? So let's go step back a little bit and just in general term, when we say I am devoted to something, what do I mean by that? Because when we say bhakti, now there's a lot of confusion. Because people say, oh, bhakti is so easy and all, and Krishna Bhagwan didn't think bhakti was that easy because he talked about bhakti in chapter 12. After the Vishwarup Darshan. Before that, he didn't even, he kept focusing on Karma Yoga. So when I say that I am devoted to something, what do I mean by that? You want to take an attempt, Falguni ji?
Okay. Maybe I'm devoted to the goodness within me. Remember you said there are...
No, that's not what I'm asking. My question is when I say I can be devoted to anything. I can be devoted to some national cause or, in my family, my cooking that I do. What does mean when I say devoted means I am putting effort towards it, right? That's what it means. And in doing that, I'm excluding many other things. When I'm devoted to a cause, I don't go and spread thin in the world. I focus on that. You agree on that? That's what,
yes.
That's called devotion. So now, what Krishna Bhagwan is saying, firstly, we have already started the journey of who God is. Because if I think that God means I just go to the temple, give some donation, bow down, do a ritual, and come back home, that's not God of Bhagavad Gita. That is a way to connect to Him. That's okay. There's nothing wrong with it, whatever, because that's why he said you can offer me a fruit, flower, and to offer something you need a symbol also, right? Some people offer jal to the, what you call Surya Devta. That's also fine. So, but those are just a means to show my bhakti because I don't know how to present it to the, this concept of God everywhere. So I have a symbol. So that's okay, And so bhakti is what he's trying to say. Once you understand that God is in everyone, God, this whole sansar is God, then whatever you do, it is for God only. That's what he's trying to say. So he's trying to, and when we read Swamiji's commentary, he takes a very scientific angle. And, he'll give an example that it's like a goldsmith. Does goldsmith ever forget that he's dealing with gold? He doesn't. He knows it's not chandi or it is not tamba or pital or anything. It is gold. So then he has a value for gold and he will do the correct thing. So same way, if we understand that God resides everywhere within me, the whole world has come from God, then I will respect everything. I will do everything in the best possible way. And that's what he's trying to get at. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So that's why he said...
Just with all your 100% effort on whatever you're doing and with good purity.
Exactly. It's like, when we do things for our family and all, how much effort and all we put, he's saying just make the whole cosmos your family. And that's why nowadays, over here in America, respect your environment, don't throw trash, but our Vedas are talking about that 5,000 years ago. There was a verse in chapter 3, it said that, you offer to, not offer, I'm trying to think of the exact import of that verse. It said that you respect nature, nature will respect you. You help nature, it's a mutual relationship. So if you do something bad to it, it'll come and slap you only. Because you are part of it. It's like me slapping my own face, I'm going to only get hurt. That's what it was saying. Because now I understand that I am part of it. But, in the West, it's like nature is separate, I am separate. So then, I have to take care of it. Hey, you are nature. So if you have that concept, you will automatically be respectful. That's why they say, ज़्यादा पेड़ वेड़ को काटो मत, उसको reverence से करो. Even if you have to do something, I've heard that some of the saints and sages who are like very high in their caliber, who live in the jungles and all, वो गिरे हुए fruits खाते हैं. वो तोड़ना भी नहीं चाहते, उतना तो हम लोग नहीं कर पाएंगे, but I'm just saying उनका भाव that, I don't want to hurt anything in this universe kind of thing. So that's what it's these are all contemplative subjects, but this is what he's trying to get at.
Thank you.
Any other? Yeah, don't hesitate to ask, because otherwise the class gets, kind of boring. I'll just speak and then everybody sits quietly. So if you do have a doubt, it's no problem at all, because that's the whole idea. And sometimes your question, other people might have it too, So, any other comment or question? Okay. So we can read the, any volunteers to read? Otherwise, Anilji, you can read if nobody's raising their hand.
Whatever you do, whatever you eat, whatever you offer in sacrifice, whatever you give in charity, whatever you practice as austerity, O Kantya, do it as an offering to me. This stanza explains how through all activities of life, one can constantly live in the spirit of devout offering unto the Supreme. Throughout the Gita, it has been time without number insisted upon that the mental attitude is of supreme importance than the mere physical act. And this is a fact which ordinarily the seekers forget.
So we saw that, like last verse explained that very, very well, that the mental attitude is the most important thing than the physical act, because sometimes, we can make mistakes even in the physical act, right? But if your mind is pure, and there are so many stories, real life stories also. I don't remember the name of these people, but it seems that there was one little girl who had a lot of affection towards God. So her father used to make this mala and say that go and put it on Bhagwan, right? And then so because she said, oh, I want Bhagwan, the mala to look very nice. So first I'm going to put it on myself, see how it looks, and then I will go put it if it looks nice. So she would go in front of the mirror, put it on herself, then put it on Bhagwan, right? So one day her father saw that, and he said, how can you do that? Remember, बोलते ना कि उसको झूठा मत कर दो and all things like that. बहुत गुस्सा किया उसको और बोला, no, don't. So this is just a drishtant. So it seems that when the father was trying to put the mala, Bhagwan wouldn't accept it. He said, no, go give it to that little girl. She has to wear it, then मैं पहनूंगा उसको. Because उसका mind pure था. So this is a drishtant. So that's what they are trying to say. It's a very cute story, right? Whether it happened or not, who cares, but it gives a message, right? So that's what he's saying. And then I was going to say that when Bhagwan is defining, whatever you do, whatever you eat. So अगर खाली ऐसे बोल देते, whatever you do, offer it to me, तो हम लोग को समझ में नहीं आता. उन्होंने थोड़ा extra define कर दिया कि तुम क्या क्या करते हो दिन में. तुम खाते हो, तुम पूजा करते हो, तुम तपस करते हो, तुम दान करते हो. जो different activities है, याद रखना कि ultimately offer it to me. That's why he kind of defined it this way over here.
There are many who complain, I wish I could offer a kingdom unto the Lord, but I have none. Such idle complaints are being beautifully silenced in this stanza. The Lord, as the master of all the wealth, needs nothing more than what man can offer him. He being himself the creator and the sustainer of all objects. All that he requires is the meek attitude of the heart, full of devotion, then in the spirit of offering. Therefore, through all activities of life and in all circumstances, if one can keep oneself in an offering attitude, he can come to gain the peace of spiritual living.
So very simple method in some ways, because he's just telling you, kind of putting us back in our place. that, sometimes we also get caught up in doing such big rituals, and then we get so stressed, and oh, ये यज्ञ करना है, ये ritual करना है, and all. किसी को मजा आ रहा है करो, कोई मना नहीं कर रहा है. लेकिन if you don't want to do, you don't need to do anything. Here Krishna Bhagavan telling himself. So so that's what it is. We don't need to feel like I have to do this or that, because that attitude is a much higher thing, and you may do 100 things, and if you don't have the right attitude, it's a complete waste. So that's what we have to remember in this.
Umaji, and this is so powerful when Bhagavan says that you can offer me a leaf,
Yes.
or you can offer me water.
Exactly.
It's all the attitude that matters.
Exactly. So koi bolega ki, oh, I don't know what to offer, I have nothing, So that argument is like he's saying, Swamiji used a right word, completely silenced that thing. No bahanas accepted anymore.
Whatever you do, whatever you eat, whatever you offer in sacrifice, whatever you give away as charity, or whatever austerities you practice, all these can be done as a sacred offering into the eternal, and thereby maintain a constant remembrance of the Supreme while living through the vanities of life.
So this is another very important thing, that when Bhagavan constantly says, throughout so many verses, that you should maintain this constant remembrance, this is automatic constant remembrance, right? So there's another method he's telling you, because sometimes we get confused about, do I not have to do my work, my duties? How can I remember God all the time? So this is a method that when you're offering to him, you're all automatically remembering him,
In all actions of perception and our reaction to the perceived, be they on the physical, mental, or intellectual levels, make them all a devout offering unto him. In fact, this is not an unnecessary make-believe or a mere fancy exaggeration, nor is it in any way very difficult for an individual to practice it. The one self revels everywhere, in the teacher, in the devotee, in the Lord, and in the Lord. In all our life transactions, we behave, act, and deal with other names and forms, and all of them, we know, require the existence of the self to uphold them. To remember the self during all transactions of life is but to remember the substratum. In a cloth shop, there are cloths of different colors and sizes, textures and prices, and the shopkeeper is advised to remember always that he is dealing with cotton clothings. This cannot be very difficult to any sane shopkeeper, and it will be safe and profitable too for him to remember this fact, for it would prevent him from entertaining misconceptions and thereby either charging the exorbitant prices of the woolens or selling off his goods as cheap as gunny bags. If a goldsmith is asked to remember that he is working on gold, it is only for his own benefit.
So now we've kind of discussed this before, right? So that this is the concept that, if we remember God, and if you think about it, the moment you understand God from this perspective that sab mein Bhagwan hai, or, wo hum hi sabhi ka wo pita hai and all that, because even if other religions, if you ask them, hey, how do you define God? Then this is common in all religion. God is omnipotent, omnipresent, omniscient. He's all powerful, all knowing, present everywhere. If you forget that, then that's when you will say, my God is better than yours. Otherwise, there is no point, And God has so many varieties, so you will accept, you will have much large heart. So that's what it is, that if you remember that fact that is a substratum of everything, you will be doing the right thing. And the example of that cloth is telling you that in a cotton ki dukaan ka jo shopkeeper hoega, he has to remember it is cotton. Then he will put the right price, he will put, and all that. So this example is may not be perfect example, but gives a very good point about it, that how we have to within ourselves have that understanding. When they say remembrance is more about understanding who God is, and about remembering too. I think both proper understanding and then remembrance also.
Doesn't when we talk about substratum, we talk about the oneness. There
Yes.
we get to, isn't it?
Yes, they're
And
talking
that's
about the
important
oneness. Yes.
to us.
Yes.
I mean, because they give the example of a cloth, of the gold, it's the same. So when we deal with it, we are there, and the object or the person we are dealing with is of same. Is
Yes.
substratum.
Yes.
So we are the same, and that's how we look at him as as ourselves the same as I am, and you are the same.
Exactly.
Even it's an object, inert object, or anything.
Bilkul.
Because
Absolutely.
existence is there in that inert object also. So therefore, that's the substratum. To me, that was important.
Yes.
When we look
So I think that you got it right point. And, once we even analyze further, now we know, since we are studying Tatri and all that 5 elements are common in everything. Whether
Yes.
it's a plant or it is a animal, human, right? 5 elements are there. And then once we go to chapter, I think it's 15 probably. No, chapter 13 mein aayega. Kshetrajna. So he says that, knower of the field is one. So that consciousness is one. वो तो divide भी नहीं कर सकते. So that is within all of us. So see how much common is there. The only thing which is different in each one is our tendencies, our vasanas. Nothing else is different. How much common we have, we don't even realize. It is just like mind-boggling. How much common we have with everything.
Well, in fact, in the 13th, if you look at it, knower and the known are one ultimately.
Exactly.
Also.
That also. True.
That
So,
at the end, you see that
even that oneness is there. Exactly.
there also. So
Just as cotton is in all clothes, gold in all ornaments, the self is the essential stuff in all names and forms. A devotee who can constantly remember the divine in all his contacts in life, he alone is the one who can give to life the respect and reverence that it deserves. It is a law in life that as you give unto life, so shall life provide for you. Smile at life and life smiles. Frown at life and life frowns at you. Approach life with due reverence and respect, born out of the recognition of the divine essence in it, and life too shall learn to respect and revere the individual.
So he's taking that another very, very important angle. Some people even say that this whole world is like a mirror. Whatever you have, it reflects. So he said that if you, see something bad in other people, you have heard of this psychology, I don't know, modern people accept that. When you have, right, Neeluji, that if you are seeing some kind of a fault in somebody else, actually that fault is in you. That's why you recognize that. Otherwise, you won't even recognize it. So that's what it is, So Falguni ji, does that make it clear now what he talks when he says about bhakti?
Yes. I mean, I'm still
It's okay.
contemplating in my mind, and as I said, I don't have the knowledge you guys have of the previous chapters, so kind of
It's a little bit
connecting the
difficult,
dots.
right.
It's I'll get there eventually, but still, it's helping a lot.
Yeah, I think that's what counts. If it's helping and it's connecting in some way, then you hang on to that. Yes, true.
Yes.
So, may I make a comment?
Yes, of course.
Falgun, I find when I read or listen to Umaji's recording and I go through my book, everything seems to sink in much better than it did in the class.
So you do one more time. That's what you're saying. Okay.
Yeah. No, and it definitely helps. Yeah, go ahead. So I do that at night, with the iPods, and then listen to it again. Sometimes things which are not clear, and
Yes.
it's a process. It's a process.
It's a
I
process.
think it's much deeper than what I'm just perceiving superficially. So you kind of need to, meditate over it and understand very much deeply,
Yeah.
which you guys have done it for years. So it's a beginning of, I'm doing it in baby steps.
We are with you in these baby steps, but that listening to the recording really, really helps me understand much better.
Okay, all right. I guess I'm going to do that on the same day. When you do it after 2 days, you're starting all over again. But if I listen to it, later on in the day, maybe a lot of the comments will come back to me, what she's explaining.
Yeah, it's definitely.
Thanks for that tip.
Yeah, that's a very good suggestion, and it's definitely a kind of a right step you are taking, and that's why how we all began. Even I, in the beginning, I was like, one time, long time ago, in India, I said, everybody talks about Gita, let me just read it. I read the whole thing, nothing I understood. Nothing until I came to Chinmaya Mission, and so slowly, baby step, like you're saying, it took. But then the more I read, the more I understood, the more intrigued. And I want to know more. I want to know more. That curiosity, as long as it's there, it will happen. For sure. Yeah.
When all the activities are performed in the spirit of offering, not only that our love for the Supreme increases in us, but also our entire life becomes satisfied with a noble purpose and a diviner aim. In the context of the Gita's insistence on single pointedness of mind and devoted contemplation of the self, so far described, we can easily find how this stanza provides us again with an efficient and secret method by which the seekers are unconsciously made to remember the Supreme constantly, not in the deep jungles, nor in the secret caves, but right on the field of life's contentions.
So this paragraph is kind of very important. So he's saying that, firstly, the first part of it is saying that when we do this offering this way, then our love for the Supreme increases and our entire life becomes sanctified with noble purpose and divine aim. So two different advantages. Who doesn't want the life to become, have a divine aim and happy, and, journey has to be good too, right? And so both, our love for Supreme increases and that. And then the most important thing, I think he's telling you, the secret method by which you can, the reason he called it secret, because sometimes it's too simple, and we miss it. And we can't go in the depth of it, that how much important it is, because the whole Bhagavad Gita is for people who are action oriented, who are in the world and all that. You don't need to give up anything, and you can reach the highest by whatever you are doing. You could be, a president of the country, or you can be a janitor. Does not matter what you do, and you can reach this highest state, because the secret method is this, having this single pointedness mind. But how do you get it? This is one method, offering it to God, whatever you do. And all that usually जो भक्त होते हैं वो वर्बलाइज भी करेंगे, ऐसे ही बोलेंगे, भगवान की मर्जी, मैं भगवान के लिए कर रहा हूँ, सब कुछ कर रही हूँ. There was somebody told about one lady, so that she used to live in some, maybe Himachal Pradesh or something, in some small place. वहाँ बहुत साधु वाधु आते हैं. So she said that her service was to God was feeding these people who would come by. She would cook food with whatever little she had, means, and she would offer it to them and say, "Mere Bhagwan aaye hain." He would call them my Bhagwan. And she said one time the poor lady was sick and people were saying, "Go rest." I said, no, mere Bhagwan aaye hain. How can I rest? वो बीमार में भी वो खाना बनाना चाह रही थी. Just a drishtant that for her, that was the thing. She was seeing God in all her yatris who were coming over there, and she's trying to feed them. Then she knew that the sadhus don't have much with them. So you can take whichever angle you want through this, but idea is that whatever we do, dedicate it to Bhagwan. And the other story we always tell the kids about, bhakti to Bhagwan is Shabri's story. She did the jhadu every day. Because why? Because the guru told her Ram आएंगे. So उसको मालूम, उसको डेट नहीं बताई थी उन्होंने कि वे राम फलानी तारीख को आएंगे. नहीं तो वो आराम से बैठती और तभी खाली लास्ट दिन जाके झाड़ू कर देती, राइट. लेकिन उसकी भक्ति इतनी थी, पता नहीं कौन से दिन आ जाए, तो रोज कर दिए. तो वी यूज्ड टू से दैट द झाड़ू became her bhakti. The most menial job that all us ladies try to avoid, कि कोई maid मिल जाए, कुछ हो जाए. But for her, she made that into. So sometimes, I would be talking to these kids. I say, which is the most boring job for you? So most of them say, cleaning my room. Right? That's what they will say, the young kids. They say, okay, from tomorrow, you think that cleaning the room is for God. That's your puja. Then you don't have to do that extra puja sitting over there. Even if you do 2 less mantras, think of this as, hey, I'm doing. So then, you're doing double thing. You're doing your work and you're making it your puja. You say, oh, that's good. So they like that. So that's what he's trying to tell us exactly. That no matter what you do, you look at it as I'm offering to God.
Maji, Shabri example came to me when you told about the little girl wearing the garland on herself. Before I said, that's Shabri right there.
Yes. Because that's why she was tasting that
Yes.
jute bear and all that, and they're giving it. And Ramchandra ji was very happily eating it, So
The Lord was very happy when the garland was worn by
exactly,
her.
because she knew that, what was the bhav, yeah.
So sweet.
Yeah. Okay, the connecting line is there, right? You want to read that, Anilji?
Yes. What would be the effect of such a method of living life in the pure spirit of dedicated offerings? Listen.
So, usually Swamiji will make a comment, अच्छा everything is great, but मुझे क्या मिलेगा इसमें? तो भगवान बताएंगे क्या मिलेगा आगे. He doesn't leave any stone unturned. He will tell everything and he will tell you from every angle. And that's why Bhagavad Gita is so precious, because from every angle he has covered everything. What our life is, that's how Arjuna's life was. He was in, middle of the war. We feel like we are in the middle of the mental war going in the war everywhere, very symbolic, and we have to fight this war every day, so. Any other comment, question? Anybody want to add anything on bhakti? Ultimate bhakti. I think all the methods that we do, other methods, that is so that we reach this state. And if we are not moving in that direction, then whatever we are doing, we got to change it. Right? Do you agree? That if we keep doing something, keep saying, oh, no progress is happening. What is that statement by that scientist? That if you keep doing the same thing and expect the same result, then that's a stupidity, right? So if a result is not coming, Einstein said that, that, to expect that a different result will come, you keep doing the same thing, that's kind of stupidity. So that's, we have to change it. Yeah.
Go ahead, Nareshji. Go ahead.
Okay, Urmil ji, aap boliye.
I was just thinking that in the end, it seems it's so simple,
Exactly, you said it.
It is so simple.
So I think that's what I love about Bhagavad Gita. He brings it to a plane that, my God, I can do it.
Right.
It is so, even karma yoga. If now that it's been a while since we did chapter 3 and 4, but because I do it with our 10th grader, so I have to go through it again. And there is a self-unfoldment I'm doing. And in that, there was a comment that the method of getting rid of the vasanas and all that, or desires, to excessive desire, clinging desire, is so simple that it escapes our mind. That's what Swamiji made. That, and then even something like a definition of sannyasi. The moment we think of sannyasi, we immediately think of some person wearing a robe, orange robe, and sitting in under the tree. And Bhagwan said, sannyasi wo hai who doesn't have likes and dislikes, who kind of rises above it. We all have likes and dislikes, so we can't get rid of them. But who does not come under the sway of it? उसका गुलाम नहीं बन जाता, उसको सन्यासी बोला. मतलब कितना simple definition दिया उन्होंने. So that's the beauty. And then, and then there, I don't know which chapter it is, but it is going to come maybe in 10th or something, when Bhagwan says, first he says, okay, you do like this, Arjun. If this is too difficult, then he says the next step. This is too difficult. 5 step ऐसे बताया, ये नहीं कर सकता तो ये कर, ये नहीं कर सकता तो ये कर. मतलब सभी के लिए. ये नहीं कि भाई, if I can't do this, I'll never reach it. Bhagwan is not pessimistic at all. He's not pessimistic. और एक जगह उन्होंने इतना भी बोला कि अगर तुमने इतने पाप किए हो कि पूरा समंदर भर जाए, तो भी अगर तुम ज्ञान की नौका में बैठ जाओगे, पार हो जाओगे. So it does not matter what you have done in the past, because then you feel like, oh my God, I'm कुछ 1-2 छोटा मोटा पाप भी कर दिया होगा, हम लोग डर जाते हैं. उन्होंने तो इतना तक बोल दिया कि अगर पाप का समंदर भरा हुआ, and it's a very scientific too, like somebody analyzed it scientifically and said, if you have a boat, does it matter how deep the water is? Think about it. Scientifically, it does not matter. It could be 5 feet, it could be 500 feet. You can still cross if you have a boat. So he said that sit in the boat of knowledge. Knowledge means this proper understanding of who God is and, doing all these things that he's talking about. You can cross that. So it is the most optimistic philosophy that I have seen in my life. So, anyway.
Thank you.
Yes, Naresh ji.
I'm good, Amaji.
क्या हुआ?
I said, I'm good.
You are good. आप भूल गए जो आप पूछना चाहते थे. It happens to me.
आपको ये बोलना चाहिए. I wanted to say, I listened to a preacher from Vrindavan. His name is Hit Premanand.
हाँ.
प्रेमानंद जी. तो उनके पास बहुत लोग आते हैं, कोई डॉक्टर है, कोई IAS है, कुछ है, वो है. तो उनको एक ही चीज बताते हैं, जो आपका जो काम है ना, उसी काम को आप करिए, मगर बिल्कुल ध्यान सच्चाई से, ये नहीं करना, वही आपकी पूजा.
बिल्कुल. Yes.
आपको कुछ और करना नहीं है. जैसे IAS को यदि मान लिया आपने बिना रिश्वत दिए ये काम करना, किसी का ठीक काम करना, तो वही उसकी पूजा में बोल.
बिल्कुल सही कहा.
कोई भगवान को आपको मंदिर जाने की जरूरत नहीं.
Right. And there is
आपका काम तो आपने ध्यान से किया और निष्काम भाव से किया, वही पूजा है.
एक वो स्टोरी है, आई थिंक भागवतम में है शायद, एंड वी हैव डिस्कस्ड दैट स्टोरी. उसको इस क्या बोलते हैं, the people who kill the animals and then they sell the meat, so उसका वो प्रोफेशन था एक आदमी का. और because he was doing his, दिखने में कितना खराब दिखता है, हम लोग बोलेंगे oh my God, इससे तो इतना पापी होएगा, ये होएगा, and it seems he was much higher than spirituality than the other, that woman who thought that she is doing puja every day and उसको सिद्धि भी मिल गई थी, that lady. And that whole story is there, but he was doing his job with so much offering to God, that bhav, and he would treat his customer nicely, then he would come home and take care of his old parents. Means his whole life was a very nice, noble life, from his, but because he was stuck in that profession, in those days they used to do whatever father was doing, the son was doing. These days it's not like that. But usko bhi, matlab, he was like self-realized. Imagine. So
बोलते हैं कि जो उसका मेजर था ना, वो सालिग्राम का स्टोन था. चुरा के सालिग्राम ने उसको बोला कि मुझे वहीं छोड़ के आओ.
What was that story? I didn't know. Say that again.
The meat seller,
Oh, the meat seller. Okay, yeah. Then the story may be very elaborate, but I don't remember all the details. But probably you do. Yeah.
Measure, stone से वो measure करता था, वो सालिग्राम stone.
Oh, okay.
Somebody stole it. तो रात को उसके सपने में सालिग्राम जी आया, उसको बोला कि मुझे वहीं छोड़ के आओ, मेरी वहां जब सबसे ज्यादा पूजा होती, यहाँ पे कुछ पूजा नहीं.
अच्छा, मतलब उसी के व्याध के पास. Yes. Interesting. So these stories are to tell us that we don't need to change our duty, our profession, our whatever we are doing. Anything you are doing, you can continue and you can still do it. So I think that's the main point. Yeah. Okay.
Umaji, before we move forward to the other chapter, आज 9/11 है. Can you conclude this class with a little prayer for?
Sure, definitely. Yes, yes. So should we do it like after the Taittiriya?
Sure. जैसे आपको ठीक लगे, एक recognition में होना चाहिए.
Thank you for reminding that. That will be a very nice gesture. Yeah. So just remember, when we do the closing prayer, we will do that at that time. Shall I move to the next one? Okay. Sarvadharman parityajya mamekam sharanam vraja aham tva sarva papebhyah mokshayishyami ma shuchah. Harihi Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.